Big Sills, National Football Show. Welcome aboard with us, guys. It has been a power-packed week. It's been absolutely amazing. The content is off the charts. The direction of the show has been spectacular. We have had no downtime. Everybody else takes days off, shows off. Man, I think this is one of the better times because you know why? You and I get to make the conversation. We get to make the content. The Eagles and the NFL are front page. Can I tell you, Tone, this is a lesson for you because Tone, who's doing a spectacular job with the show, give your audience or your customers what they want, not what the host wants. Give them what they want. People today in sports want NFL, and then the other stuff is fill-in. NBA, Major League Baseball, pick a sport. It really is just filling gaps. There's nothing. Watch this. College football, by the way, we are loaded, and we are going to get into the draft. Today, we're going to kind of go knee-deep into the draft. And we're going to kind of hit on some areas and some players. By the way, I've gone 10 deep. And we'll continue this. I think we got cornerbacks, edge rushers, and if I'm not mistaken, I think we got running backs today. We also got a new list of the top 100 free agents. Where do the Eagle players sit on that list? Oh, and by the way, you know, we have been killing it with guests, right? Guess who I'm having on today? 4:30 Eastern Time, Philly 500. And this is what I think we're going to start doing. Tone, get ready for this. I think we're going to have a fan of the week, which means one of you maybe jumping on the show with us to get your take on your favorite sports team, Eagles, NFL, NBA, what have you. Why not, right? Well, we'll get one of you guys on. Again, giving the audience what they want to hear. Let me ask you, before we get started here and before the Eagles get started, do you think that the Jalen Hurts deal gets done before March 15th? Yes or no? Do you think it gets done? Do you think it gets done before March 15th, the start of free agency? You know, the Eagles and the Hurts folks are all saying right now the right things. And they should be saying it publicly, the right things. Behind the scenes, I believe they've already got the number. Tell me if you guys subscribe to this. I think they got the number. Okay? I think they have the number. I think they have to work on the framework. This is going to be a telling date. If the Jalen Hurts contract does not get done before March 15th, the Eagles and Hurts are further apart than we thought. Is that fair? If everything is really in a great place and everybody feels good about one another, I think you have to have that deal done before March 15th going into free agency and the draft in April. Is that fair? We're going to know, not by words being thrown out in the media. We're going to know by actions on what direction the Eagles are going to take. If this deal gets done, all of a sudden you're starting to hear some noise in the negotiations start to sprinkle out. This is why. And Tone, all of you, I think it's been quiet on the Western Front for a reason. I think they pretty much got about 80% of the deal done. They're feeling comfortable. Always remember something in negotiations. When you don't hear anything, those are usually when things are going on. When you're hearing a lot of bitching back and forth, that's when things are going sideways. I think the Eagles and Clutch Sports, Nicole, Jalen Hurts, Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, I think these guys are all doing this. It's a process. It's getting there. It's a process. And so far, not a lot of noise, if any. I think it's great. I think it's great. Actually, Marcus, Joe Rogan will be going on in March. Joe couldn't fit me in during the Super Bowl week because I didn't show up to Phoenix. So it's going to be March. I have to drive up there, actually. I can't do it Zoom. I wanted to do it Zoom. You have to be an in-guest studio to go on the Rogan show. So Big Sills has got to get out of the Dan cave. That's why. So we're working on it. We're working on it. All right. So we're all in agreement. March 15th is a day that we're going to pretty much know the direction of where they're going with the Hurts contract. Okay. Here are the draft picks as of February 23rd. Without any compensation picks, without trading any players away, here's what the Eagles have on the docket right now. 2 first-round picks, 10 and number 30. Second-round pick at 62. Third-round pick at number 94. 2 sevens. One is 221 from the Texans. And there's another 7th-round pick at number 250. I do believe they'll probably get 3 or 4 more compensation picks. Some pretty high 3s. Maybe some 4s and 5s. They're going to have a pretty big bounty of draft picks. And this is why we've prepared a conversation today. Because I'm going to show you, a lot of people like Joey Porter Jr. Look at Ray. Ray likes Joey Porter Jr. Let's take a look. And I'm just going to do this one because we're going to get to the topics here first. I'm just going to give this to you here. Corners. Joey Porter Jr. is evaluated as the 14th pick. Ray, you want to overdraft him? That's overdrafting him. How he operates on trying to get deals. You're trying to alleviate mistakes in the draft, especially those high picks. Okay? He's evaluated going into the combines. Now, again, the combines are next week. That number can change. Someone goes number 14. Dude, the 14th pick in the draft is a heck of a spot. Ray Lewis went in the 20s. Okay? Ray Lewis went in the 20s to the Ravens. The Ravens didn't overdraft him. They got a deal. Ray Lewis, if you had to redo that draft again, would have been the number 1 overall pick. He's arguably the greatest middle linebacker in history. That's why the Ravens were so good in the draft. Ozzie was never going to overdraft. He got a deal on Ray Lewis. He knew Lewis was a great player. He knew he was a great player. What I'm saying is, maybe you trade down to 14, get another pick, and get your guy. And there you have value. I'll explain here in a second. We're going to get to all these, I promise you. I promise you. The draft is something I love. I love doing the draft. Okay? I do. And remember what I told you last year. I was telling you about this kid, McDuffie, and the kid from Utah, Lloyd. You guys hated them. They were starters. for playoff teams. I didn't miss. And I said they were going to take Jordan Davis, and they did. Okay? So we're going to get to that in a minute. I'm very excited to tell you how we got 3 positions, and we're pretty deep on a lot of them, especially the corners. Because I think Howie's going to do some maneuvering at number 10. We're going to get to that. But before we do that, I got a topic I want to ask you before we go. How important is it for the Eagles to bring back Brandon Graham, Kelsey, and Fletcher Cox? Is it a priority to bring those 3 guys back? Those guys are your core tone setters in your locker room and your environment. Those 3 men are the Eagle way since 17, really. How important do you think it is with a new defense, with a lot of new faces in the organization? How important is it to bring back Brandon Graham, Jason Kelsey, and Fletcher Cox? Or is it not a priority? You see, Peter, I'm more talking about environment, more so than talking about what players better. Obviously, Kelsey is the guy you would want back. The guy had an all-pro season. By the way, you should see how high he's ranked when it comes to free agency. It's absolutely insane what people think of him. Let me tell you this. If Jason Kelsey got on the open market, the only reason he wouldn't be one of the top 2 guys is because he's 36. And he's still highly coveted. If Jason Kelsey, okay, if Jason Kelsey was younger, he would be he would be the Eagles' number 1 priority. You know, I have to think that Jason Kelsey is still a priority for the Eagles to bring back. You don't want to lose your center. The 2 most important players in your offense when it comes to your offensive line are center and left tackle. Protecting the blind side, quarterback of your center, and your center's the quarterback of your O-line. Sets the fronts odd and even. Kelsey has been one of the most important Eagles in the last 20 years. I'm talking, guys, I get it. I don't want to prioritize one or the other. I'm talking about the collective group. These 3 men who have been an integral part of what the Eagles have built there with Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, and how they have dominated the NFC East. How important are these 3 men to the organization? Graham, Kelsey, and Fletcher Cox. The 3 of them. The 3 of them. How important is it? Is it a priority for them? I think it's pretty. You know, if they were bringing back pretty much everybody on the roster, I think you could do without these guys. But I think you're going to have a lot of new faces in that building. Okay? And it's going to be even more pressure on Jalen to set the culture. These 3 men these are your 3 leaders, along with Jalen Hurts. I'm not saying Jalen's not in that conversation, but we not agree these are your 3 leaders. So you're going to lose 3 leaders, not just 3 players. Okay? 3 leaders. Tone, you agree? And Jalen's the 4th. You're 4 leaders on the Eagles. Graham, Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, and Jalen Hurts. You're going to lose 3 of the 4 of the leaders that took a team to the NFC Championship game and won it and went to the Super Bowl and was a quarter away from winning it. There's no priority there? Look at Dank, all 4 are captains. So 3 of your 4 captains aren't coming back. Wow. That's a leadership void. Lane 2, you're right, S. Blunt. Lane 2. But these other guys, they've been there through the good and bad. Coaching changes, shitty coaching, arguing, bad quarterback decisions, great quarterback decisions, having a great year. They've been through it all. Man, that experience in your locker room, that's something you just can't put a price tag on. Maybe again, though, if you take a look at it on the other side, maybe this is the time where you create new leaders. Jordan Mailata stepping up. Devonta Smith falling into a leadership role. Right? Josh Sweat becoming more of a vocal leader. So maybe that's, again, the priority in how you build new leadership, and especially with Jalen Hurts in your building. Okay? Especially, again, I was not just talking about one of the three. I was talking about the three men. All right. Eagles targets. This is going to be, again, something that we're going to do a lot this year. Okay? Something we're going to do a ton of. So we're going to do that here in a second. Before I move on February 23rd, we did this last year throughout the entire offseason. This will be the first edition of this. What expectations and what growth do you want to see Jalen Hurts with in 2023? What do you want to see? I said he'd be around 3,900 yards. He was. I said he'd be around 25 touchdowns, which he was. They're going to win less games this coming season, which means what? He's going to put up bigger numbers because Jalen Hurts is going to have to win games offensively. As of today, look, guys, your defense is not the same moving forward. Put that in the back of your mind. Your defense is not the same. Tone said this yesterday. That roster was historic. Your quarterback's going to start getting paid. I'm not going to go through that whole maze of conversation again. I'm just telling you. You're going to lose more games this coming season. That doesn't mean you won't go further. I think the NFC still sucks. Watch this. I think there's a chance the NFC could suck worse. But your team's lesser. Now, again, I'm not talking about going from 14 wins to 9. That's probably going to be a 12-win ball team again. You're going to be between 12 and 14, and I'm leaning more towards the latter end. But 12 wins? I don't know. 14 wins, 12 wins. You still go to the NFC title game? What do you care? What do you care if it's 12 or 14? You get to the NFC title game, you're in the ballpark again, right? Who gives a shit about that? Who gives a shit 12 wins, 14 wins? I don't. I care about getting to the game again. Hurts is going to have to carry the team. Last year, that team carried itself. Defensively, offensively, special teams sucked out loud. By the way, that's not still being addressed. You got to pay your quarterback. Special teams won't be addressed, so you're not going to have the best special teams too. So your special teams may get a little better. Your defense is going to get a lot worse. Jalen's going to have to do more. What are we looking at for Jalen? What benchmarks do you want to see him personally achieve? Can he be 4,000 yards passing? Here's how he can get to 4,000 yards passing. 300 yards rushing. Could probably get him to that number, not 700 yards. If you guys are counting on him going 700, 800 yards again, he may not get 3,500 yards. You're asking this man to do so much. He's physically not going to be able to do it. He didn't do it this year. He missed ball games. Thank God the division wasn't a threat, and no one in the NFC threatened you, or you may have lost home field advantage. Okay? 4,000 yards is possible for this kid, especially if you don't have any massive losses. My problem is going to be this. If the Eagles lose the center and right guard, that's a center, right guard, and running back. That's a big loss. The heart of your offensive line and production out of your back. Boy, that's not something that I'm talking about here to help Jalen Hurts continue to evolve. You know, Seth came on the other day and went like this to us. Hey, you know, he's a dual threat guy. They don't really care about stopping the run, but they care about running the ball. And if you lose your center and your right guard and your running back who had 1,300 yards, that's a lot of production, my friends. Andre Dillard's not going to be there. You're going to have Juergens and you're going to have Jack Driscoll. Those will be your depth guys. Is that enough? Probably draft another guy in the upcoming April draft in the offensive line. Brian goes, he'd like to see Jalen get more accurate. Well, Jalen was about 66 completion percentage. That's a good number. Any higher, he's going to lead the league. So I'm okay. Look, anything over 65, you got a quarterback that's pretty accurate. 65, hey, basically 7 out of every 10 footballs he throws, they're pretty much catching. That's a pretty good ratio. I'm okay with, like, right? I mean, look, almost 7 out of 10 passes. Hurts is completing, you're going to win a lot of ball games with that. Okay, that you're going to be really good with that. Here's what I'd like to see. Here's on February 23rd, my projections for Hurts and what I'd like to see him do this year. 4,000 passing yards, 4,000, 30 TD passes, 5 rushing touchdowns, and about 340 yards rushing. If you do that, that means you're taking less wear and tear on your dual threat quarterback, and guess what he's doing? He's evolving into Russell Wilson, early Russell Wilson. If Jalen Hurts puts those kind of numbers up, he will be Russell Wilson 2.0. Russell Wilson is a Hall of Fame quarterback. Right now, just like the guy in Buffalo, you're running into a dead end with this if you don't figure out how to take some of that rushing attack away from him, which means a running back is going to be essential in this draft or free agency. Okay? We're looking at getting Hurts a 10-year contract, 2 contracts potentially. That's what we're talking about here. I don't want Jalen to be a 5-year guy. If this is the new wave and this is the direction that the Eagles, again, dual threat guys, if this is what it is, again, not my cup of tea, but if this is what it is, I have to figure a way to get this guy to 10 years in the league. Those guys don't play 10 years. Okay? They don't play 10 years. We've got to figure out that and how to make it happen. So those are kind of my early off-season goals for Jalen Hurts. 4K, 30 TDs, 5 rushing touchdowns, and 340 yards rushing. Dude, he was trending for 200 carries. You're going to get him killed. You're going to get him killed. You're going to get him killed. Okay. We're going to go into the draft. And we're going to target at 10 first ideology. What would you do at 10 if you're Howie? Having the quarterback figured out, guys, having the quarterback figured out gives you so much variety of being able to go in so many different ways. Okay? Gives you an opportunity to go in so many different areas. I mean, it gives you so much latitude on where to go because you have that position in your heart solidified, the most important position on the field. The Eagles, get this, when Howie made this move, do we all agree when Howie made this move to get 2 number ones, it wasn't to go position hunting. It was for a quarterback. Howie Roseman can now go position hunting. And know this, there are so many teams that overdraft in the NFL and will panic as they get closer to the April draft. Howie sits back and lets those guys panic. And guess what? There's always a fish that will call up and go, Howie, what do you want to do with 10? He's got him. He's got him. And with the free agent quarterback market being what it is, it's not a deep one. I mean, your third best guy is what? Daniel Jones? Garoppolo? I don't know. Then you got the 10th pick. This is a quarterback draft. There's a bunch of kids in this draft. Shit, sitting at 10. And all of you are saying this, right? All of you guys are saying this to me. Sills, these RPO guys are the new wave. Doesn't Anthony Richardson remind you of Lamar Jackson? Lamar Jackson's in line for $51 million. Doesn't the Gator quarterback remind you of that? 6'4", 238 pounds, plays in the Southeastern Conference. Lamar Jackson was the 32nd player taken. That was the last gift that Ozzie Newsome gave the Ravens. Was Lamar Jackson. Howie sits there at 10 and goes, best offer. I'll trade out of it. I'll trade out of it. Right? Joshua says cornerback and edge. That's kind of what we're going to look at today. And I also got running back on this list. No, Brian, I'm not saying draft a quarterback at 10. Absolutely not. Other teams are going to draft quarterbacks at 10. Absolutely not. I'm saying a team in the league will panic. They'll panic and want that 10th pick. What are the Bears going to do? Are the Bears going to trade Justin Fields, put him in a package deal, send him to Houston, get some of Houston's draft equity? Houston gets Fields. They get the number 1 overall pick, and they take Bryce Young. Are they going to do that? There is so much. This combines for Howie Roseman and the Eagles and a lot of teams in the NFL that are looking for that signal caller. The Jets got to figure out. Joe Douglas has got to figure out what they're doing at the quarterback position. How about this? Going into next week's combines, the Jets are already convinced that Zach Wilson ain't the answer. He was the number 2 overall pick. Look at all these teams that have quarterback issues. You know, the Green Bay Packers, if they don't move off of Aaron Rodgers, they've got to have blind faith to pick up the 50-year option on Jordan Love, who they've never seen play. The Packers are going, Jesus. Aaron Rodgers, $60 million, or the 50-year option on a guy we've never seen play. There's a ton of teams that have a ton of decisions to make. Are the Lions going to really go with Jared Goff? Is Washington really going to go with Sam Howell? Or do you think that Eric Bieniemy can attract the free agent quarterback like Derek Carr to go to Washington? All those decisions are being bantered back and forth like we are talking right now. Here, how about Dak Prescott in Dallas? Would Jerry move Dak Prescott for Jordan Love? Would they trade him? And a first-round pick to get Jordan Love? Packers have to send me a high pick. I'll send you Dak. You give me a 1 and Jordan Love, and I'll send you Dak. Some of you go, that's crazy. Cowboys got to do something money-wise because they're in purgatory. Dak's a top 3 quarterback. In what world? There's a $42 million contract that's never panned out. Do you know that Joe Burrow in just 2 years starting in Cincinnati has more wins than Dak Prescott and Tony Romo in the last 25 years of quarterbacking in Dallas? Burrow has more postseason wins. America's team? Where? I'll tell you what, you may be America's team, but you're not America's team in the postseason. That's an early exit. That's an early exit. Let's take a look at the corners. And let's just go here with this. I think that is the target. Because you know why? You got a lot of money back there. And you've had really a lot of success. Darius Slay, scheduled to make $18 million. Your free safety is free agent-wise expected to be in the range of 14.4, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Bradbury on the other side of that will be in the $15 to $17 million range. Obviously, you can't afford all these guys. So what's the mentality and logic you think the Eagles, knowing this, the quarterback's pay is going to dictate a lot of the moves here. And also this too. You still don't know who your coordinator is. You have no idea. You have a philosophy on what you're thinking about, 34, 43, 50 front. What are you looking at? Aggressive, not aggressive, Jonathan Gannon style, a young guy? Are we just going to elevate Wilson from within? To me, that's the easiest thing to do because he knows the current personnel that's on the team. He knows the direction of the organization. He knows the general manager. To me, that's the simple thing, Denard Wilson. I think they're doing a due diligence on the defensive coordinator side. But when you go out of house like that, man, and you've got this much turnover happening on defense, you're asking for a lot. You are asking for a lot. Slay's not taking a pay cut. He's 32. There's no pay cut here. He made the Pro Bowl. He's an all-pro corner. Why in the world, in his last potential year of making $18 million, would he take a pay cut? He's want to maximize the most money he possibly can. Stop with the pay cut. He might be dealt. Now, this is what I would do. Restructure his contract so he's tradable. You restructure his contract, trade him as you get ready for the NFL draft. That's something to think about. Bird, Slay made the Pro Bowl, and he's an all-pro. Let's get to Slay here in a minute. Would you move Gardner-Johnson over the corner? Played it in New Orleans. Here's a trick. Sign him at 14.4. It's under market value. Then you move him to corner. His agent would bitch. That's kind of a jackass thing to do. He played corner in New Orleans. You go like this to him. You give him 14-4. You move him the corner. Hey, it's not a cool thing, though. You negotiate with him being a safety, and then you move him the corner, and you draft the safety. It's not the coolest thing to do. He played nickel. Yeah, he played nickel. To me, I think I don't know. It'd be a jerk thing to do, move him the corner. Okay? But it's a snake. Hey, Jameson, it is a snake move, and Howie's not really a snake type of dude. Okay? Avonte Maddox, I think he's too slow to play corner. I think he's big enough and physical enough, but I think he's too slow. Man, you got to be 4'4", 4'5" down there, and I don't know. I don't think he's got quick feet, and I don't think he's a quick twitch athlete. I think he's really good. I like him. But it's a jerk move. You sign CJ as a safety and slide him over to corner. Okay? I'm going to keep him where he is, too. Bradbury's gone. So let's just take him off. By the way, we're going to look at interior linemen, too. I think I got defensive tackles because you're losing Hargrave. Chicago, New England, Minnesota are all making him a priority. Wait till you see where he's ranked on the free agent list. Unless they franchise him, and to me, I don't see the Eagles franchising anybody. Man, this is a lot of strategy stuff. Hargrave's not coming back. Because get this, not that the Eagles don't want him back. Teams are going to overpay him, man. They're going to overpay him. I'm going to get to we got a free agent list, too, with all the Eagle names on it. I believe out of the top 100, I think Philly has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got 9 of them. They did all these lists going into the combines. Here are the rankings and lists of all the players heading into the combines, which start on Monday. Players are showing up now in Indianapolis. The top cornerbacks going into the NFL draft and prospects to be considered in the 7 rounds. Okay? Mr. Stuff goes like this. I know you ain't writing anything on your pad. Show me your homework. Okay? 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 Okay. We're always prepared. Never deny that. Oh, and my corner list. I don't bullshit anybody, dude. Okay. Your top cornerbacks heading into the National Football League's draft. I saw this guy, Witherspoon, play against Michigan. He is my favorite player in the NFL draft. He's projected to be number 6. If this kid falls to 10, he's a steal. Nakobe Dean's not a draft steal. This would be a steal. If he falls to 10, could it be? Yes, because of the quarterbacks. There's a ton of them in the draft. This kid, Witherspoon, could be Sauce Gardner. My problem is the conference he's in. Man, he's a hitting machine. He covers. Get this, his closing speed. And here's one of the most important things that I think Devon Witherspoon has compared to the rest of these guys that are in the draft. Do you know what he has? Mistake speed. Okay? You know what mistake speed is? False read, can catch up, and can cover mistakes. Can I tell you that's the one when you watch Sauce Gardner play, Sauce Gardner has recovery speed. He gets a false read. He's back on the guy, and he's in his hip pocket. And to be taught that at Cincinnati, dude, Finkel did a great job of coaching that kid. That kid was prepared like he played in the SEC. I thought he was good. I didn't think he had that kind of technique. But the closing speed that he has and mistake speed, that's what makes this kid Witherspoon also kind of like that. He's got recovery speed. People that have false reads all the time. He's one of these guys. Christian Gonzalez. I talked to Mario Cristobal about him, the former Oregon coach. He's in the conversation with Kayvon Thibodeau, Penei Sewell, Justin Herbert. He's a great athlete. You know, you could make the argument he was the best player in the Pac-12. He's projected at 10. Okay? Would I draft him? Probably. Okay? Probably. What if he falls? What if he's at 12 or 13? And I could step back a couple steps, get a couple more picks, and get the guy. I wouldn't want to go too far down, like to 15, because you may lose him. But I would go down 11, 12, something like that, to maybe get a second or third rounder. You've got 1 second-round pick now. This is before compensation picks. Okay? This is another one of those kids that has great speed. And my only issue is that sometimes bigger wide receivers can kind of push him around a little bit. Okay? I watched a couple games that he had, and sometimes he gets pushed around a little bit by more physical guys. Not a lot. I saw it maybe 1 or 2 or 3 times a game. Most of the time, he was the best star on the field. Not saying it. He's totally the 10th. He's in that range between, I think, bottom end, 10 to 15, not 5 to 10. I think he's down there, 10 to 15. I could see him in that pick. He really moves well, though. He's got a great, you know what he kind of moves like? Asante Samuel. If you're going to make a comparison to Gonzalez, he kind of moves around like Asante Samuel. Here's what everybody in Philly wants, because he's a Penn State kid, you know. Joey Porter Jr., Penn State. As of right now, they have him ranked the 14th. Excuse me, 21st ranked player going. It's 21. He's a 21st ranked player. You're going to take him at 10? That's overdrafting. I'm not saying this kid. Now watch this. This is where you got to be kind of creative. If you want this kid, he's being graded as the 21st player in the upcoming draft. You got a 10 pick and you got a 31 pick. So he's wedged in the middle there, more towards your 30th pick. Porter might be down there at 30. Unless somebody overdrafts him, he's not a top 10 kid. I don't think he's exceptionally fast. I think he's tough, smart. I think he's prepared. I think he played in a great system listen, do you guys know who the defensive coordinator is at Penn State? You guys know who the Penn State D coordinator is? Do you have an idea who he is? Do you guys know who he is? Who's the defensive coordinator at Penn State right now? This is why you guys come here. You guys come here because of my connections. And we entertain. Who's the D coordinator at Penn State? Manny Diaz. He was the head football coach at the University of Miami for 5 years. I had a conversation a few days ago about Joey Porter. Loves a kid. Great talent, athletic, prepared, comes from a lineage of father having played in the league. and he loves the kid. His deficiencies, okay, he will make a false read, and he doesn't have the recovery speed that we talked about here with Gonzalez and Witherspoon. So he's got to be technically sound, which he 95% of the time is. You got to watch out for some injuries. He got nicked up a little bit, missed a little bit. And when he gets hurt, doesn't play at the highest level at times. Again, it's got nothing to do with toughness. The fact he even plays when he's hurt, he plays through it. You want that. Okay? But are you going to take the 21st graded kid and put him at 10? That's overdrafting. You're taking a gamble there. He's more the 30th pick than he is the 10th pick. This is how certain teams like Baltimore always win and teams like Arizona always lose because they overdraft. The kid Porter, by the way, the kid Porter may turn out to be, here, let me make a comparison. Guys, who was the real Aeneas Williams? Could Joey Porter turn out to be Aeneas Williams? He could. He could. But you could get this kid. What if you traded up from 30 to 25 and he's sitting there? That's a good pick. That's a good move for a player you didn't overdraft. Okay? Look, Gonzalez at 10 is cut. Remember something I said this about Gonzalez, though. Gonzalez is more 10 to 15. So you've got to take that into consideration when you're thinking of taking him at 10. Witherspoon is 5 to 10. Because there's a lot of great players that are in the draft. That kid Carter, it would not shock me if that defensive tackle, Carter from Georgia, goes ahead of Will Anderson. They love that kid. Okay? Ike Taylor, that's a good comparison. 215. But again, he may turn out to be Ike, but why not get Ike and another good pick when you can? This is the beauty of the draft. I want Ike Taylor on my team. And what if I get Hugh Douglas in the latter rounds? Then you strike gold twice. That's what you're trying to do here. The biggest problem that organizations have, they overdraft all the time, especially in the top 15. They'll see a kid like Porter, draft him at 10, and you'll go like this. See, to me, Jordan Davis is overdrafted. He's not the 13th pick. Is he a first rounder? Probably, but somewhere around 25 where I had him. I had Jordan around 25, 22, down there. Not 13. He's not the 13th pick in any draft. Well, still, did you see him at the combines? I don't want a weight room guy. I want a football player. If a guy goes to the combines and blows the combines up and he's the star of the combines, what's that got to do with playing ball on Sundays? Are you against going double corner in the first round like we did? Yeah, John, thank you, John, too. John, it depends on what's coming back, too. Okay? You lose CJ in a corner. I got Slay at $18 million. What am I paying Slay for then? Okay? Double corners is not hey, watch this. John, there's nothing bad here that you could throw out because they're all doing that too at the NovaCare Center right now. Okay? They're all doing that at the NovaCare Center. Okay. Now, there's another kid that played in the Big Ten that doesn't have the fanfare. Deonte Banks, Maryland. Number 23 could fall down to 30. Hey, how many times have you seen guys that are just so hyped up and the second guy turns out to be better? This kid Banks is pretty good. I've watched him. Watched a couple. Do I think Porter's better? Maybe a little. Maybe a little. But I don't, watch this. Porter and Banks compared to Witherspoon and Gonzalez is a big difference. Just remember that. Okay? Just remember that. Okay? Witherspoon, Gonzalez versus Porter and Banks. The Porter and Banks guys are down, in my opinion, in the 20s. They're not in the teens. Those aren't teens guys at corner. There's a kid at the University of Miami that I like. His name is Tyreek Stevenson, University of Miami. He's gauged and graded at number 39. Number 39 is a second-round pick. Okay? If wide receivers in the NFL, like Cooper Kupp, Devonta Adams, A.J. Brown, okay, DK Metcalf, can go in the second round, corners can go in the second round. If you miss on all those guys, you can get this kid Stevenson at number 39. Okay? He's a good pick. You could, and the problem with this is if he falls, your picks in the second round, as of today, is number 62. You grab him at 39. You grab him at 62. And he's the 39th graded guy going. Now, look, these grades are going to change after the combines. I'll have a better look at them after they've talked to them and see them. Okay? By the way, guys, do you know who gives me these lists? Guys like Frank Reich, who you had a conversation with yesterday. Kevin Colbert, who still is an advisor in Pittsburgh, the general manager who's been on this program, Tom Telesco, they all tell, I get these lists, the same lists they have. There's another kid at Mississippi State, number 42. Emmanuel Forbes. He plays in the Southeastern Conference. He's another kid to look at. Now you're starting to get closer to your pick. All these guys would be steals at 2. Eli Ricks, Bama, number 63, right around your pick. Played at Bama. You're in the SEC. Howie loves the Southeastern Conference. He loves Bama. Garrett Williams, number 49, Syracuse. Pretty good ball player. Pretty good player. Watched him play. Saw his highlight reel. I'm a fan of him. There's another kid at TCU. His name is Tomlinson. And he's around the Eagles' number 2 pick at 62. He's rated the number 60th cornerback in the draft. And then there's another kid at 10 by the name of Cam Smith. He's 69, and he played at South Carolina. I'm with you, Jameson. TCU stopping people on defense. I mean, TCU putting defensive guys in the NFL. Since when? They don't really play any defense in that conference. I'm always concerned about that, especially Big 12 guys. Always concerned about Big 12 dudes. I don't, he's ranked here. This is the list I got. Okay? TCU players on defense in the NFL. It's like, I don't see it. Oil and water here. I like the kid Ricks at 63. That's around the 62 mark that the Eagles have. Maybe one of these guys goes in. How about this? Maybe one of these guys goes into the third round. You pick them up at 94 in the third. Again, this is here. We're doing this here. This is not counting the comp picks you're going to get. Okay? Now, I hope this isn't too technical for some of you. Okay? Really, because, again, this is the ideology that people at the NovaCare Center and the personnel department, especially college, are doing right now. They're looking at value. You see, it's not so important the guy's name on the back of the jersey. I'm going to give you guys a lesson in how you should evaluate from now on. And I got this lesson from Jimmy Johnson and how Jimmy evaluated talent. He never cared what the name on the back of the jersey said. That was the last thing he cared about. You guys are looking at Porter and seeing the father. That's a bad evaluation. Is there some? I mean, you think Chris Sims is? I mean, I know the Mannings are a great example of that, or the Matthews, and there's examples of success, but there's also success, and there's also failure when you do that. And again, Dank, I'm with you. The traits, the dad, but what's the relationship with the father and the son? I mean, are you sure it's really, how do you know we're not talking about, like a relationship that's not a good one and there's no influence at all? Okay? So what I'm saying to you is, here's how you should evaluate. Jimmy gave me this analogy. The best people that profile people are who? FBI people that are looking for serial killers. He said they're the best evaluators of a trait of a person, behavior, who they are, how they'll act, what their tendencies are, what their habits are, their mental makeup, their failure success rate, what they're going to do next, because you're counting on what they're going to do next when you're evaluating a serial murderer. And these FBI guys go through every single detail of a person's life. When you're evaluating an NFL talent guy, do you know how many steps most personnel departments miss? They don't go back to high school to talk to the high school guy, especially if you're going to use the 10th pick on someone. That's a pretty big salary right there. But I think you should do that on the 10th pick and the 100th pick. If you're going to bring a guy into your organization, you better know his work habits. You better know his traits. You better know if he's going to be the last guy in or the first guy in and the last guy out. You need to know all those things. Or guess what? You're going to be Jalen Hurts in the second round because you didn't do your due diligence. Or you're going to miss on Joe Montana. Or more importantly, you're going to miss on Tom Brady in the 6th round. This is why players like Jordan Mailata go to the 7th round, or Larry Allen to the 12th round, because people didn't do their due diligence. Why? They don't put the extra work in because they think it's all about evaluating the first 3 rounds, and that rounds 4 through 7. Most of the league and do you guys know what the most successful round is in NFL history? Do you guys know what the most successful round in NFL history is? The 3rd. Because you can't overpay and you don't overdraft in that round. The 3rd round is the most successful round in the NFL history. It's not the 1st round. It's not the 2nd round. It's the 3rd. Loki goes, why? Because you don't overdraft in that round. It's best available athlete. That's most teams stop doing their homework is after round 3. After round 3, they just do this. Best available athlete. Well, that's why you hit on them dudes. That's why you find Jason Kelce in latter rounds. You didn't do your homework on Jason Kelce, and Jason Kelce is a Hall of Famer. They couldn't evaluate the Hall of Famer. They just took the next best guy. That wasn't the Eagles drafting him in that round. They guessed. It wasn't a stroke of genius. It was a guess. What, you think the New England Patriots did their due diligence on Tom Brady? They passed on him 5 times. Did you not think if a guy was going to win you 6 Super Bowls, you would wait 6 times to get him? How common sense? And then you got an asshole like Bill Polian lying to you going, we had a first-round grade on Tom Brady. No, you didn't. Because if you did, you would have drafted him and traded Peyton Manning. He owned Manning. That's why that guy's not doing any TV anymore. Because he started lying on the air trying to change his history. Bill Polian had a first-round. Nobody on the planet with any common sense had a first-round grade on Tom Brady. First-round grade on Tom. Yeah, just like the Eagles had a first-round grade on Jason. If Jason Kelce was drafted with what he's accomplished, he'd be the 4th pick. He'd be the 4th pick. It's a pretty talented. I don't know who said this week to me that, Sills, this is a pretty deep class for corners. I'm wrong. You're right. It is. Because when you have guys and 10 dudes in the top 70 picks, those are all guys that will start and play. All 10 of these guys are going to get a chance to start in the league this year. You're dead on. So whoever said that, Dank, I said, Dank, you're right, Dank. You got 10 guys in the top 70 picks according to NFL scouts. That number may even add after they talk to some of the kids. I think they invite like 350 kids to the combines or something like that. I think it's like 350 or 365. And they're going to whittle it down, or they'll probably expand some of these lists. 10 guys top 70, that's pretty impressive. These guys are all going to play. They're going to play on special teams. They're going to start. You know why some of these guys are going to start? Because teams are going to be in the position that the Eagles are in. Got to start a rookie. Look at the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs got 2 rookies starting at corner. Hey, you got to do that when you got to pay a quarterback $50 million. Dang, big W this week. You're right. It was. I'm wrong. It's a pretty big list here. It's a pretty big list. Man, we got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of stuff today. A lot of stuff. Edge rusher. By the way, I think, again, that's the cornerback list. I'm going to keep that with us, too, and I'm going to see if that gets added. But we're going to do the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Of the top 100 free agents, the Eagles have 9 guys heading into March 15th free agency period. Man, these guys are going to make big money. And I don't know where the Eagles are going with this. That's why I think this Hurts deal is so important. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Hour number 2. By the way, Philly 500 is going to join us at 4:30 Eastern time. We're going to talk with him, get his thoughts on the offseason. I wonder if he's recovered from the Super Bowl. We will do that next. Hour 2,